All right, I've been given a thumbs up. The camera is again rolling, so we will resume opportunities for public comment, please. Yes.
Wayne Matulski, City of Arcadia resident. I truly believe that this is a gigantic decision that should not be made by the city council. Again, there's a lot of people in the city that, again, are afraid to speak out. I mean, there's not a lot of city residents here because of the fact they're employed by the city. Some of them are employed by businesses who have told their employees that if you don't keep your mouth shut or take your signs down in front of your house, there's going to be repercussions for you. So, I mean, they're being personally threatened. I don't feel as that's right at all. This is too big of a decision to be made by 6 people. It should be made by the city residents of Arcadia. I believe in a moratorium and a referendum vote. That's it.
I would respectfully ask that you get consent and revise your statements to say 7 people, not 6. I don't consider myself inconsequential.
Sorry.
Thank you. Public comments? Yes.
Greg Kocheski. I firmly believe, like that gentleman just stated, that this should be put to a vote because it is too big of a thing for a few people to make the decision, and it should be voted on by the people, for the people, for the good of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Opportunity for public comments. Yes, sir.
Dan Pastor from Town of Arcadia. Yes, sir. Yeah. Did you go out there and look at that mine out there? Did you go and look at the mine out there?
Mr. Potsner, I'm going to cut you off if you don't address up front here. If you want to discuss afterwards, feel free to go up there and go punch.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that he ain't got the right mulch on there. You see all the last rain, that inch of rain, all in places where the water ran, and everything's gone. The seed is gone. There's nothing there but bare ground. You got to put that mat on there that the highway put on, and then it won't wash for you in the state there. They put some sheep stuff over the top, and they didn't do a very good job of covering that ground. Go out there and look at it.
Thank you, sir. Public comments? I can't see, I can only see a hand. Go ahead.
Kim Shabilla, Township of Arcadia. Just a quick question.
Who?
Kim Shabilla,
Thank you.
Township of Arcadia. Just one question. What did the city do with the first 6 months of the moratorium?
Thank you. Comments from public comments? Public comments? Yes, sir.
Steve Haynes, Town of Arcadia. I think we've all agreed on a 1-year moratorium, and I think we should stick to what we all agreed on. And as far as extending, we could probably extend it, and probably when that came up, we would probably want to be extended again. And I think we should just stick to the original moratorium agreement, the 1 year, and that's it.
Thank you. Public comments? Thank you. Public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Linda Baker, Town of Arcadia. I agree with wherever it was here, on the track. You said this is a really complicated issue. It affects a lot of people, their homes, their businesses, their property values, their neighbors, relationships, and a lot of things. And I really appreciate the fact that you are there and not me.
Hold on a second, Linda. Just so you know, that was my low battery thing, not a signal to cut your time off, so I'm going to restart your time. You still got 38. I didn't want anybody to misunderstand that.
Okay. Okay. My first concern with this whole moratorium thing is, why does Canadian Silica want to annex to the city? Why don't they just stick with the county? They own the land. Petition the county, abide by their decisions and rules for the real spring planning process and plan. You know, why put the onus on us? And as far as the moratorium, a petition was circulated, signed, and presented. Please honor the wishes of the electorate. Extend the moratorium, then bring this issue to the people in the form of a referendum. listen to the people who elected you. Please vote yes to extend the moratorium. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Yes, ma'am. 2 minutes or 2 seconds to speak.
Okay.
Public comments? Public comments? Yes, sir.
Chad Russell, Town of Arcadia. Looking around, I'm of the younger generation, and being on that, I don't believe it should go to a referendum, just for the fact is that these people have gotten the information. They've researched this, they know what the proposals are. When you have a whole bunch of people make a decision that don't research it, I mean, how many people are in Town of Arcadia, in the city? How many are here? Most people either don't care, aren't into researching, don't know the facts. It's the thing. Why not have the town or the city board who has had the information, gone through everything, make the decision? And it's not going to say that, okay, the moratorium's off, now we don't understand annexing. No, the moratorium comes off, they have the opportunity then to annex. That doesn't mean that they're going to get it. Why not let businesses come in? If you want to extend the moratorium, I think you should extend it for every permit that can be issued by the city.
Thank you. Public comments? Fred, I'm doing one per person, otherwise I'm gonna get hung.
No problem, thank you.
Opportunities for public comment? Public comment? Public comment? Going once? Okay, go ahead.
Carrie Support, Town of Arcadia.
Hold on 1 second. Before I start your clock, you and then Beth. So I don't forget about you, Beth, okay? So as soon as Carrie's done and I reset, then you're on. Go ahead.
It's another perfect example. I just want to address the board on some of the things I heard. Mark Baker, again, talking about bribes. Again, they're starting their own rumors. And you just talked to the man who signed with Canadian Silica. There is no such thing, but that's what they want you to believe. Second of all, pretty sad to hear that one in Mr. Maltuski, it's all worried about a handout. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? That's pretty sad. It's a shame. Ed Posner, again, you take a closer look. You're looking at it from the highway, and it probably looks like hell to you. The straw came off. We'll fix it. 2 inches of rain in 1 hour.
Thank you. Beth, I'm just resetting. Beth.
Beth Killian, Town of Arcadia. I just want to thank the council and the city fathers for holding all these meetings and informing people. But I was involved in helping get the petition out, and the people that signed the petition, and I didn't try and convince them to, you know, if they're going to sign it or not, or how to, you know, whatever. So I can't be blamed for that, as people have been saying that I have been anti-sand and I'm trying to stop things. I am not. But please listen to your city residents and extend the moratorium and hold a referendum vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments? Public comments? Opportunity for public comments? Second opportunity for public comments? Yes.
Ronald Petition, Town of Arcadia. I would say there's more than 2 inches missing of straw from that site. I don't think that was a perfect role model for a mine over there. I mean, when they were mining there, you could see, again, it was a heavy rain, but I mean, there was brown water running down near Calvary Cemetery. The only reason I think they did get it covered by now is because they're pushing for more mines. I mean, they had lots of time to do it, but, and again, I think it's also bigger than just a handful of people. We don't have a referendum, or we do have a referendum when we build a school. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments? Opportunity for public comments? Going once. Going twice. The period for public comments is now closed and my battery didn't even die. All right. Thank you, everybody. missing. I have a paper here. Here's one. All right. Number 5 on the agenda says discussion and possible action on petition for direct legislation filed July the 7th, 2015, requesting an amendment to ordinance 301 to extend the time frame to impose a moratorium on the expansion of existing and creation of new non-metallic mining operations and annexation petitions or permits for the purpose of creating any non-metallic mining operations within the City of Arcadia pending the study of possible legislative action. The ordinance would be 301, I imagine it would be 301A, is that correct here?
I believe so.
Okay, and this is what the ordinance says, because I didn't bring extra copies, but again, it's been available on the website and available at previous meetings. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 301 to extend the time frame to impose a moratorium on the expansion of existing and creation of new non-metallic mining operations and annexation petitions or permits for the purpose of creating any non-metallic mining operations within the City of Arcadia pending the study of possible legislative action. The Common Council of the City of Arcadia, Wisconsin do ordain as follows. Section 1. Section 6 and Section 7 of ordinance number 301 related to the duration of the moratorium and action and study during moratorium are hereby May I get the same admonition that I got 3 minutes ago?
Certainly.
Thank you. Section 6 and Section 7 of ordinance number 301 related to the duration of moratorium and action and study during moratorium are hereby deleted in their entirety and replaced as follows. Section 6, duration of moratorium. This ordinance shall be effective for an additional 6 months from the original 12-month period, following the original date of adoption of this ordinance by the Common Council, for a total of 18 months unless rescinded by the Common Council action sooner. Section 7, action and study during the moratorium. During the moratorium imposed by this ordinance, the City Plan Commission shall study and analyze the impact of non-metallic mining and shall make its final recommendation to the Common Council by March 15, 2016. The Plan Commission shall be charged with researching the issues associated with non-metallic mining operations and making recommendations to the Common Council regarding regulatory and police powers necessary to responsibly manage new, existing, or proposed non-metallic mining operations. Issues under consideration by the Planning Commission shall include, but are not limited to, possible regulatory structures, including zoning, licensing, and blasting ordinances, and developers' agreements, health insurance, I'll restate that, health concerns, environmental impacts, annexations and boundary agreements, impacts on city infrastructure, impacts on the local economy, and financial considerations for the City of Arcadia. The Plan Commission shall make reports to the Common Council as directed by the Common Council. The city clerk shall properly publish this ordinance as required under Wisconsin statutes as a Class 1 notice in a newspaper, adopted this day of this month, 2015, City of Arcadia, signed by your mayor and attested by your city clerk. That is the moratorium. Was everybody able to hear that?
I'll make a motion that we reject the extending the moratorium.
No second.
There's been a motion by Alderman Conrad, seconded by Feltus, to reject the moratorium ordinance. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
can't see your hand, did you raise it?
Yes, I
Okay.
I have a question for our attorney.
Yes.
Does this set the city up for any type of lawsuit or litigation?
Well, as we opined a year ago, we don't think that the idea of a moratorium is a proper subject for direct legislation. And that's probably more the case now that the city has enacted an ordinance because it seeks to amend or repeal an existing ordinance. So, as we indicated in the letter that we sent to you a year ago and again more recently, we don't think this is a proper subject for direct legislation. If the council adopts the motion that's before it, it is I think it wise to include a finding that the council also agrees that this isn't a proper subject for direct legislation, and that they direct the clerk not to put it on the ballot for the spring election so that Angela isn't caught in the middle, not knowing what to do. So I had actually prepared a series of 4 motions. The one that Mr. Conrad has indicated is probably the 4th one on this list. But the first would be to adopt the moratorium ordinance. The second would be to put it on a referendum at the spring election. Third would be to put it on a referendum at a special election. And the 4th then would be to table this matter, make a finding that it's not a proper subject for direct legislation, and direct the clerk not to place the ordinance on the referendum ballot for the spring election. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, but could the council adopt a separate ordinance under the council's authority that would extend the current moratorium?
Well, as you'll also recall, last year the council did adopt the ordinance, the one
Right.
that's sought to be amended here,
Right.
under its police powers, and the city certainly continues to have police powers that if they could amend that ordinance to extend the moratorium. I think it would be a good idea, and not just a good idea, I think it would make the action more defensible in court if the city stated findings that there is a valid, relevant reason for extending the moratorium. Someone here made that comment about what the county said with regard to extending the moratorium or adopting a moratorium. You really should have, and we would recommend that you have valid, specific, articulable reasons for extending the moratorium if that's what the council decided to do.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to amend, I'd like to amend my motion.
Okay, what would that motion be?
I move that the City of Arcadia Common Council adopt the finding that the petition is not a proper subject for direct legislation because it seeks to repeal or amend existing ordinance. Table any further action on the petition or direct legislation and direct the city clerk not to place the proposed ordinance presented with the petition for direct legislation and the clerk's certificate on the spring 2016 election ballot.
The motion that was previously on the table has been amended. Do you so amend your second to state that same thing? The motion on the table has been amended to what Alderman Conrad just stated. Would anybody like me to repeat that?
Please, please, please.
Okay. Alderman Conrad made the motion, and it says, I quote, "I move that the City of Arcadia Common Council adopt a finding that the petition is not a proper subject for direct legislation because it seeks to repeal or amend an existing ordinance. Table any further action on the petition for direct legislation and direct the city clerk not to place the proposed ordinance presented with the petition for direct legislation and the clerk's certificate on the spring 2016 election ballot."
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
could I have legal counsel explain what a yes vote would be and what a no vote would mean?
Based off of Mr. Conrad's motion and Mr. Feltus's second, I believe Alderman Fetch is asking, what would a yes vote mean?
Well,
And what would a no vote mean, correct?
No, right.
Did I see that right? Perfect.
under Wisconsin statute 9.20, which is the statute that deals with direct legislation, the council only has about 30 days, I think it is, after the clerk's certification of the petition to act on it. And that 30 days is up on either the 20th or 21st.
21st, I think.
So a yes vote would be to place this on the table and would essentially be directing, well, it wouldn't put it on the ballot for the spring election. A no vote would leave it open for further discussion, assuming that the noes carry. But a yes vote would put it at an end as to this petition for direct legislation unless there is a subsequent legal challenge to it.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Well, I think we can simplify it by saying, no, I'm not drunk tonight, I promise I'm not. Alderman Fetch has got in his 4 months on the council, accustomed to my best efforts at Picasso, and at Picasso I am not. I do attempt to draw things out and identify how things are, and I don't do it justice, but I do my best. This is the ordinance 301 amendment that's being presented, and Alderman, just to simplify it, Alderman Conrad and Alderman Feltus have made a motion and duly seconded it, that this would not get passed, and
That the city states its position that this isn't a proper subject for direct legislation and directs the clerk not to put it on the ballot for the spring election so she knows what she needs to do under the statutes.
yes, well spoken.
Without a picture.
Does that make, without a picture, does that make sense? And that's why he's an attorney on that. But I'm nervous.
So if we vote no, that means we will not have this as a referendum item in the spring.
No. If you vote yes, it means we will not have it as a referendum in the spring.
Okay,
If you vote no, you're keeping it open for, or seeking to keep it open for further discussion here at this meeting to determine what you're gonna do.
Does that make sense to everybody? I'm looking at the nodding of the heads and getting an affirmative from the council members, so with that said, Mrs. Berg, I will ask for a vote on this, please.
Alderman Fetch.
no.
Feltus.
Yes.
Sensala.
Yes.
Wojni.
No.
Colstead.
No.
Conrad.
Yes.
Mayor Kimmel.
Huh?
Mayor Kimmel.
I'd like to make a couple of comments here, and then I'm be happy to vote. I too sit with Mr. Bouch and Mr. Killian and Mr. Feltus, among others, on the planning commission. And for the record, our planning commission has in-depth studied. We've petitioned information from experts who have degrees and experience and far more knowledge in this than any of us do. And we have not asked for an extension on this because we don't feel we have a need for it. The information has been available, made to the public. I don't remember who said it, but a lot of this information has been put out there for the public to absorb. We've had hearings, we've had meetings, I've had, I would hate to put a number on it, a number of conversations at the Quick Trip and shooting a game of pool and at Express Mart and the grocery store and wherever, on people that feel very strongly about this. I visited with a gentleman last evening. There was 2 of them over near Park Street, which is on the west side of town. And I was looking at the road that got ripped up, and it's going to get new curb and gutter and paved and all that stuff. And I said, while I'm out, I said, you haven't said anything about sand, and you're one of the first. I said, how do you feel about it? And his exact words were, how the hell do I know? You guys are the ones that read all the comments, you guys read the reports. And he's right, we spent a lot of time reading the reports, listening at the meetings and presentations. Based on the attorney's advice that it's not a proper topic for legislation, that the original ordinance was assured to everybody that it was not going to be a delay or a stall tactic on September the 15th of last year, and we were told that's not a tactic. We want you guys to take this seriously and study it. And based on the fact that we've done that and the 12 months will be expiring and we don't need that more time, I'm voting, correct me if I'm wrong, a yes vote would be to table this and to direct the clerk to not publish it.
That's correct.
That will be my vote. And I think that we need to understand that this moratorium and the discussions in our community should not come down to I like sand or I hate sand. Because there are a lot of people that are pro-business that don't care for sand, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of great people in our community. And it's divided our community, it's torn our community apart. And by taking what I see as an attempt that, quite honestly, I don't know what kind of information was passed down to these people. I don't know what was said to them. I talked with a former teacher today. She called me and she said, you can't pass, or you gotta pass this moratorium tonight. And we visited